Hi there guys, I just wanted to say something before I start, that this video is completely unplanned and unscripted and unrehearsed. This is just straight off the top of my head thoughts about something I witnessed in my country, in Australia, that just was beyond my belief. I just didn't think the event I'm about to describe would take place in my area. I have grown up in a very bad neighbourhood my entire life, nowhere near as bad as a lot of the stuff you see in America. Australia's laws with guns and stuff prevent a great deal of the amount of violence that you would see in America. But anyways, to the point, it's a story about, short story, I'll try and keep it short as possible, about an African husband dominating his wife in what I think is disgustingly, and I'm so upset by it, I want to post this video instantly on YouTube, having thought about it a number of times before I do this, and I think, no, I don't care about anything, I'm not embarrassed about anything. I want to know what other people think, and I want to know if this guy should be able to act the way he has done in front of me towards his wife in my country, and if it's acceptable, and if the way I took care of him, well, not took care of him, dealt with him, is the correct sort of way, and what everyone should do, and then the problem wouldn't occur, or if what he did was incorrect and what I did was incorrect. I've noticed, unfortunately, on YouTube videos that involve blood and guts and violence get a lot more attention than someone that discovers the world. So anyways, I'll do some editing to cut out all my ramble. I was raised to believe it's wrong just to be not Australian. If you're Asian or black, you're automatically wrong. And I understood by the time I finished high school with common sense that that's automatically wrong and weak-minded. So yeah, don't anyone go thinking for a second that I don't like the fella because he's black or something in the story I tell you about the way he treats his wife in a sec. I treat everyone the same, even if I don't like them. You're meant to treat everyone the same, and that's what I do, and that's what I'll instruct my children to do. So anyways, my wife is a very innocent person. She grew up in a much more cleaner area of where I live in South Australia, and just pretty much with the price of property goes respect and intelligence, I would even say, of the people. So she's hardcore religious, goes to church pretty much every single weekend, never done a single thing in her life, donated lots of money to charity, and she's visiting her African friend. She's a full-blood Australian, born here just like me. What's the first thing you think of when you think of Pakistan and a husband with his wife? I'll give you a few seconds. What do you think about? I bet one of you guys probably thought about her having to cover her face with these veil things, or just lazy dominance. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments section. Is that the first thing you thought of when you thought of Pakistan, husband and wife? Or is there something else? Let me know. If I'm wrong, I would like to know. Unfortunately, that's the first thing I think of. So when my wife visits her friend, and she is African, and every time my wife and I enter the house, the husband seems to be arrogant and lazy and walks off after quickly in a foreign language instructing his wife what to do. I initially didn't care, and I thought it was just my imagination, and thought he must be a hard worker. But no, I've now learnt that it's him instructing his wife what she is allowed to do with her social friend, and the husband of the social friend visiting, my wife. And the African wife has been instructed what she's allowed to do, and that he is going to go wait in a separate room. I didn't see that for a long time. I thought he was just going to bed for work because he was a hard worker. Now I know he's an arrogant bastard. So anyways, a lot of time goes past, maybe a full year and a half, and I've just ignored all this stuff of male dominance that seems to be there from this husband, thinking it's my weird imagination from all the American TV programs I watch of mistreatment of people and fighting. But it looks like it's all true. It looks like my wife's African friend, who has a husband who is it's embarrassing, I don't even know his religion. In Pakistan, the most common religion they have, I can't recall it off the top of my head. Pretty much it's against the laws of his religion for his wife to have any friends that are male. Any at all. Now, you guys fill me in the comment sections if anyone watches this video. Tell me what I'm talking about, what the name of the religion is, and what the term for what the rules a wife must follow is about. Yeah. He's got his religion, so his wife in Australia is not allowed to have any male friends at all. Full stop. That's it. The end. Because my wife has been spoken to by this husband the husband is instructing my wife and my Australian wife of what is appropriate to take place and what is inappropriate, thinking that his way is the correct way and that we need to learn. I think it's the opposite. And I think anyone that managed to watch this video would tell me what I'm talking about is correct, and what the African husband is doing is disgusting treatment of a person in Australia that is not accepted or even legal. I'm very sure it's illegal in Australia, not just bad, to tell your wife you are not allowed to leave the house and socialise with anyone unless myself, as a husband, tells you you're allowed to. That's what the African guy said, not me. And I'm not racist, by the way, if I use lazy, quick terminology. That's not from racism or weak-mindedness or anything. So anyways, it's very upsetting. I'll get back to it so this video doesn't become too long. I'm up to 8.5 minutes already. So I'll try and finish up really quick. So my Aussie wife is talked to by this African husband. Number one, could you please not visit the house anymore unless you ring me up, the husband, and ask for my permission to visit my wife first, and I say yes. That's what he asked for. Number two, he said, my wife came to one of your social activities in the past. It was harness tree climbing. I won't bother going into what that is. And he said, I think the angles that my wife was able to be viewed at from doing harness tree climbing and the barbecue lunch was inappropriate. And I just want to let you know, this is a quote, and I want to let you know, my wife repeated to me what he said, that if you ever give us invitations to come to something such as an outdoor adventure, hiking, this harness tree climbing thing, a barbecue or something, our reply will automatically be no, and my wife is not allowed to attend. We are only allowed to attend something such as dinners and invitation to your house. So he's pretty much said his wife is not allowed to attend any outdoor socials. Is that sickening or what? Violence seems to be the thing that attracts people the most. If anyone's getting bored, I'll just chuck in a bit of violence for you. Is this here and this here are connected to the husband. And if he wants to complain about it, he's welcome to go down to a police station and say that I ripped out his tyre valve and left him a warning letter that you don't tell your wife what to do. And I'm not ashamed of it, and I'm not scared of it if the police wanted to talk to me about it. Because I know how useless the police are sometimes, unfortunately. And when I go down to a police station or stirred up after I go to this guy's house and talk about the way he's dominating his wife, they're simply not interested. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. But there is a law in Australia that states that if a husband was, and like most countries, dominating a wife and not letting her leave the house, he would be charged with something. I can't think of official titles. I'm very upset with what I saw with the husband. So I started speaking his language a bit more. And this is where the interesting, not to me, but to other people, where the violent crap comes into play. And this comes from his car with a warning letter from myself. I initially went down to the husband's house after hearing the story from my wife, and I was quite calm. And I thought, let's do it the caveman way, the way that he does it in his country of Pakistan, dominating women and thinking men are in charge of everything. Let's see if he wants to talk to a man. I don't think he will, because it's nothing but gutless. So I go to his house, knock on his door calmly, and there's no answer. And I knock several times, there's no answer. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, I think I know very well why this door is normally answered quickly, and it's not answered now. It's not late at night, by the way. It's because the husband probably hears the door knock, has a quick think, and he thinks, why would someone be visiting me at this time? Around, was it 6:30 PM or something, not that late in Australia. And he's probably then thought, no one's meant to be visiting me at this time. Who could be visiting me? And then he's probably thought about what's taken place in his life recently. The disgusting way in which he talked to my Australian wife about the way to treat women. So with that, I think he's worked out, and with my ding, 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 not banging, but not, quiet little taps, proper knocks on the security door, I think he's worked out that this is a man knocking on the door, and he's quickly worked out this might be the husband of the wife he just spoke to disgustingly in the country of Australia, and that he's going to face some penalties for the way that he talked that he knew is wrong. So the door knocking was ignored. I continued to knock loud, but no banging, just the knuckles and a pair of keys, and eventually, as I guessed again, the gutless guy didn't answer the door. He told his wife to answer the door after playing silent inside the house and hiding. When his wife answered the door, I said to the person that I know very well, and I love like a sister to myself because she's my wife's best friend, and I have high levels of respect for this African woman, and would always look after her, like I'm somewhat in some way doing now, and I think I'll be doing more in the future if this husband doesn't change his ways. Said, could I please speak to your husband, and if he's the man that's in charge of everything, could you tell him to come and answer his own door? So I closed the door for her and had the gutless African man come and answer his front door, dominating women, and he answered the door. And then he asked his wife to come to the door, and I said to him, I came to speak to you. Why are you asking your wife to come here and stand next to you? Are you scared? My wife has told me that you are in charge and there is rules to follow. If you are a man that is in charge by your culture, why are you asking your wife to stand next to you? Shouldn't you ask your wife to go away while you can talk to the other man? But that's all he is. He's just hypocrite and gutless. These people with their religions about the different treatment of women, I think you're all gutless. And if there's some of you that want to, if anyone watches the video, I don't know, but if some of you people with your religions watch this video, feel free to chat to me and I'll answer your questions. And I think that you're probably still better than this guy, even if you believe women aren't of the same level of respect by your religion than this guy. I think you're probably still not as much of a coward as he is. So anyway, I asked him politely, could you have your wife leave so that the men, by your culture, the dominant men can talk? Or are you hypocritical and you're gutless? And you're the person in charge, but when another person, another male that's in charge comes to talk to you, are you just going to hide behind your wife then? And that's what he did. So I tried talking to him. I couldn't really talk to him. He did somewhat ask his wife to step away, and we calmly went out the front of his house so that we don't upset the wife and children that he has at his house. 2 children, 2 young boys. We then begin talking, and his children come out, little kids, and he's unintelligent and he's yelling at me. And being bigger than this person, I said, straight-faced but intimidating deliberately towards him, could you please ask your children to go inside? They do not need to witness 2 grown men yelling at one another. And he just, I think he was scared that I might do something to him. He said, no, my children can stay here. And I said, you're talking very loud, and I am talking loud. Well, I didn't say I'm talking loud, but you know what I mean. I pointed out that we're talking obviously in what is a fight, or a debate at least, and that children should not be present and that it's inappropriate. I said, how about we continue talking after you get your children to walk inside? And he was gutless, and he just pretty much hid behind his children. I tried talking to him and explaining to him that his behavior is not correct, and that in his country it won't be tolerated, and he just ignored me. And then that's when this comes in. As I left, I got very embarrassingly frustrated, but I'll still admit it for publicity reasons, to see if this guy would be embarrassed from this video being known about in any way. Would make me feel much happier. Got a pair of pliers and ripped off his tyre valve with a note. Sorry, before that, the reason why I did that was he told me when he was walking cowardly back inside his house, not willing to talk to me, he just said that I didn't understand his culture about women rules. And I said, I don't need to understand your culture, and you don't need to understand my culture. You need to understand you're in Australia, and the laws of Australia is that it's illegal to tell your wife what to do and not allow your wife to leave the house and have friends. It doesn't matter what you or I think. Your wife is in charge of her own life, and she will choose her friends. If you choose her friends, you're breaking the law. He ignored me. So yeah, got a pair of pliers, ripped off his tyre valve, and left a cardboard note on his windscreen that said, in our country, roughly, because I'm very upset I can barely even remember what I wrote, but in short it was 2 quick sentences somewhere along the lines of, in our country and the rest of the world, pretty much, men and women are equal rights and in charge of their own life. You do not get to tell your wife what to do and who her friends are. So the final thing the husband said to me, not willing to talk and just talking about his religious crap, he just said pretty much he was in charge of his wife, and that I had lost my opportunity for my wife to have his wife as a friend. And he said that his wife would never be allowed to see my wife again. He walked off cowardly back inside with his, pushing his children and wife back inside the house and closing the door. I said to him, you're a coward. The incident is not over. the future between my wife and your wife has nothing to do with us. And if you get in the way, I will deal with you, and I will. And that's what I did. I dealt with him with the first warning. And I'm not afraid to say it, and I don't care about police, because I think the police are rather useless. And I think that if ripping off the tyre valve was ever talked about by the police, I'd be more happy the husband got dealt with in some way than I face a penalty for ripping off a tyre valve. I'm not too worried about jail time over the tyre valve, if you know what I mean. What is it, $5 damage to someone? Well, anyways, I'll end it there. It's extremely hard to know what to say in short without rambling. I'll do a little bit of video editing and trim it a little bit. But this hasn't been prepared in any way. I'm just deleting all the pointless carry-on. Very upset about the whole thing. In a nutshell, pretty much the entire thing of this video is just two small things. I would like it to be found out about by our local friends and have this husband embarrassed of his ways and be forced to change and somewhat maybe even apologise to his wife and my wife. And I'd also like to know if the way that I act is extremely inappropriate or a freedom fighter. I don't think I'm a hero. I don't want to be a hero. I just would like to know from the public, though, in a country like Australia, with our laws and our rights, equality of men and women, that has been pretty good since the 80s. You know, we've realised a lot of bad things of the past needed to end. Disgusting treatment of women. I think everything's pretty equal rights these days, and everyone fights very strongly for equal rights. And I believe that what I did was, at least in some way, good, and people would support me. And what the husband did was entirely wrong, and that he should be dealt with by someone, somehow, some way. Anyways, that's it. Let me know. I feel guilty, and I want to know who's the bad person, pretty much in a nutshell. Post your comments below. Should I keep trying to help this wife receive equal treatment from her husband and continue to be lifelong friends with my wife that she's known for 7 years? Or should I allow the husband to tell her that she is banned from seeing my wife without me and without him, just on their own? And should I let the husband dominate his wife and not do anything further? Post your comments, let me know. I hope at least a couple of people think this video has some true value to it and fighting for the rights of other people and not just some brain-dead violent shit someone like me made up that has no point to it. I hope that's how it happens. Thank you, guys.